Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Crypto Talk Now Network station. As with you always, this is Max, and I'm not doing another live video today on XRP. So with that said, let's welcome a few of you guys who've been patiently waiting. And if anything, I'm going to get into some of the comments. I'm just going to check the other screen this time and kind of rapid fire welcoming some of you guys because I'm kind of on some limited time, unfortunately, today. But I want to welcome Brittany. She says, hello. Thank you so much for being here, Brittany. On top of that, I also want to welcome Tim Shea, who says, hey, Merrick Crypto. But thank you so much, Brittany and Tim Shea. GG, so what's up? Dingy is in the house. Yo, yo, yo. The one and only Boomer Off It Sooner is here. Thank you for being here, Mr. Boomer Off It Sooner. And then on top of that, Dingy states that he downloaded the WorldCoin app. I know you sent me that email about that and tested it out. You don't like why they give free WLD, but Clack also buy on exchanges. Clack? Crypto Hulk said it's Ripple technology, very futuristic idea that they have. Nice. Well, cool stuff, man. I mean, we'll see how that works out, basically. I also want to welcome. All right, so you got futuristic idea. Crypto John is in the house. He says, Max, I'm working right now, but I'm not missing this. You are a legend. Well, thanks so much, Crypto John. You're the legend, my friend. You're killing it. I'm glad to see that you're doing live shows. Very cool stuff. Right back at you. Give Crypto John a follow, but in reality, I think most of you guys have already followed him anyway. But thanks, Crypto John. I really appreciate that. And well, hopefully you get something good out of this. We're going to be doing some connecting of the dots, if you will, on the Q&T segment. And we have a little bit of Jasmy for you guys. And just a brief segment in regards to some big news about Hedera and Google that you may not have been aware of. Just was published today. All right. So let's get further into it. We got quite a few guys in the comments. We also got the one and only Selmo Foot is in the house. Glad to have you here, Selmo. Brian Downey says hello to everyone. Glad to have you here, Brian. Hopefully the other Brian is here as well, but thanks for being here, Brian Riley. Of course, Boomer, Selmo, everybody's saying hello to each other. The one and only Squidward is here. He's got the thumbs up. Glad to see all that. Wayne Side's in the house. He says, CRPT, check it out, gang. Cha, bro. Like, serious up, man. Like, Wayne Side from Southern California did. Cha, gnarly ways, man. Yeah, Utah, get me two. Two Utah. Give me two. All right. Larry CTN is in the house. Maybe he has some new shorts for us. Maybe he doesn't. That's okay. We're also going to welcome Crypto Homes 777. Hello, everyone. Is it Crypto Homes you're looking for? Lionel Richie. Yes, thank you so much for being here. Even though we reserve that for Mentalike, we got to give Crypto Homes a 777 a warm welcome. Stump Riders in the house. GS is in the house. Obviously, Cash Cats is in the house. Ahmed is in the house. Hello, future millionaires. That's the way I look at it, too. I mean, look at what happened with XDC. My goodness, man. I mean, do you not feel glad that you have some XDC? Please smash that like. We are currently at 18 likes. Let's try to get it up more. We have other shows going on, obviously, in the space. We need more likes so we can, let's face it, be able to reach a broader audience, all right? Mr. Lambo's Crypto Talk is also here. Glad to have you back, Mr. Lambo's. We have Isaita. He says, hi, Max, Jasmy to the moon. Welcome, Isaita. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. Glad to have you here. And we normally say change your avatar. Something speaks more about who you are and what you're about, but you already done that, so that's good stuff. Thank you so much for that. Just going to welcome a few more of you guys and then kick it into the outline. Michael Montclair is in the house. He says, hey, everyone. Glad to have you back, Michael. Patrick Collier. Yo, what's up, guys? So glad to have a lot of you guys here, obviously. And let's see here. What else do we have up in here? TZ88. We love Crypto John. Yeah, he's great. He's absolutely great. And he does a really good job with his coverage, whether it's down in the basement, in the kitchen, in the car, walking in the woods. You know, when I was a kid, right, one thing I loved about watching Inspector Gadget was like I felt like I was going on a little adventure with Inspector Gadget. You've got all sorts of different places in the world. Yeah, we understand most of us watch Inspector Gadget in hopes of basically being able to see Dr. Claw's face. And then let's face it, none of us saw his face. But the point was, you liked going on a little adventure with Crypto John. I feel like I'm going on a little crypto adventure with him and so on. So keep up the good work, Crypto John. And I like how you mix it up. All right. Just going to welcome 2 more people I think we have here. And let's read this. I hope you and your family are well, Max. Always praying for you, brother. Well, thanks, man. Don't have much of a family. It's just me and my dad. He comes home on Sunday. But thank you for that. We're the only 2 in the whole state. Nobody else. And that's it. All right, let's start off the outline. So let's see here. Boom, right back at you. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to start things off with some QNT. And the reason for it is because of all of the recent news that's happened like over the last few days with Twitter going to X, right? The new rebranding. What's up with that, right? So I want to give a shout out to Quant Papa. And, of course, a shout-out to Gilbert Verdian, believe it or not. Ooh, Max is referencing Gilbert Verdian. Yes, I am. Let's start off with the outline for today, and it comes from the one, the only, constructiontrader.eth. We do follow each other. Great researcher. Give him a follow. He deserves your follow. Here is what he has posted, and you know how we always talk about how, you know, Corda R3, it's absolutely massive, especially the Corda, you know, the R3 XTC bridge, right? But what about Quant, right? What about Quant? So he states, and he posted this, you know, a few days ago, right? He says, QNT is the foundation of interoperability. I couldn't agree more. And this is basically why R3 Corda has chosen the Quant network to be its interoperability provider. In a few years' time, even car manufacturer software will need to be interoperable to talk between cars, and Overledger will basically provide this. Now, I understand that this is a Quant segment, but you guys do know every now and then I do try to, you know, pay attention to what's going on with Jasmy and the Internet of Things. And I stated numerous times with, you know, actual research to back it up that, you know, a lot of things that may seem speculative, like, for instance, Jasmy uses Hyperledger Fabric. You never know what's going to happen in the future. You know, Quant has basically put their stamp down in Japan. And we were mentioning, obviously, a little bit of XDC earlier, right? Understand the connections, understand the big players, right? SBI Japan, XDC's got, you know, again, their stamp there and so on. And of course, we know Genki Oda is one of the key players for all this. But I want to state this, right? Don't be surprised that with interoperability, you do see things start to happen, for instance, with Jasmy, with interoperability. And on the next deep dive video, as promised, I'm going to tie some things in together in regards to squashing the FUD about people who want to state that Jasmy cannot scale. I got a deep dive about that. We're going to talk about that. And if anything, it's going to help the community because it's going to get the message out there that, yes, for all the doubters, Jasmy can scale and through a layer 2 solution. I could do it again on this particular show. It's too big of a deep dive, but we will get into it. So yeah, what is this about? You know, car manufacturer, software, all this stuff, right? So we're going to play this as 1 minute and 38 seconds, and then we're going to get into some of the recent tweets sent out by the one and only Gilbert Verdian, who tagged, yeah, you better believe it, the big dog of, you know, the alpha omega of social media, technically speaking. Yeah, you better believe it. It's not Mark Zuckerberg. If you think it's Zuckerberg, then I got something to tell you. No, the big dog of Twitter, Elon Musk. All right, smash that like. Let's go ahead and play this. Thanks for being here. Here we go.
Imagine a world where financial markets are open and networks are interoperable and connected. Business processes are automated. Digital currencies drive financial inclusion. Tokenized assets eliminate risks and costs. Settlement between parties happens in real time. This world already exists today. It's the digital economy. Yet to truly unlock the potential of a connected digital world, innovation must be embraced. At R3, our mission is to deliver an open, trusted, and enduring digital economy where value is securely exchanged. We're delivering on this mission with the next generation of Corda, the world's leading open and permissioned distributed platform designed for customers operating in regulated markets. Next-Gen Corda builds on the core capabilities of Corda, peer-to-peer network, settlement finality, and privacy-enabled applications, while reducing time to value. And it is truly open for innovation. It lays the foundation for scalable and secure interoperability between Corda-based apps, centralized systems, and enterprise Ethereum-based networks, while developers can build Java or Kotlin-based applications on production-ready open-source code. Discover the newest version of Corda that has been informed by hundreds of regulated customers who choose the platform to fuel the modernization of their critical infrastructure, streamline multi-party workflows, tokenize assets, and explore CBDCs.
All right, let's jump into what we have in regards to this. So you guys know that we featured, obviously, Tokenizer. In my opinion, he's the GOAT of research. If you don't know who he is, look into more who he is and what he's about. He has a platform. It's referred to as the Research Portal, and he's absolutely knocking it out of the park consistently with the deep research. So we're going to recognize him for a brief bit, but not so much because, hey, it's Tokenizer, but because it's great research. So we're talking about R3 and so on. I want to share this with you guys, and it's good stuff because you know what? You're going to learn some things that you might not have even been aware of. Especially when we talk about R3 so much, it's like immediately connecting the whole thing with XDC. So I want to reference this. This comes from gtreview.com, and I'll come back into the frame. Again, please smash that like. It definitely helps. But check this out, and I'll turn on some banners back again because why not? Kind of helps with the branding and so on. All right, so right here, I'm not going to read all of this, but one thing I really like based off what you saw in that R3 video, industry players from banks to corporates have long expressed concern about backing the wrong horse in trade digitalization. Very, very true. On top of that, it talks about going down a potentially costly development and implementation route, only to discover that it is not the industry standard. When we talk about Quant, you got to keep in mind, I really feel as though that they are the industry standard. It doesn't matter if I feel that. When you are basically backed by the big players, the central bank of central banks, that speaks volumes, right? So since we're on the topic of volume, check out this example from a few years ago. It says, quote, "This is where Overledger Network comes in. We are the underlying infrastructure to connect the trade networks, basically speaking. We have solved the technology underlying interoperability, right, with multiple blockchains, including," and if you're wondering about Corda, yes, including Corda. And we were talking about Hyperledger earlier, were we not? It says it's a simple interconnectivity between one network and another, according to Gilbert Verdian. Quant is far from being the first to come up with a way of connecting these platforms. Indeed, many years ago at Cybos, the one that was in, like for instance, in Sydney, tech giant Accenture introduced a similar initiative in the shape of its trusted interoperability node that sits between disparate blockchain systems. Now, jumping over to what I found from Tokenizer, I went ahead and fast forward to a key area. I don't know if he abandoned this particular, channel that is part of his network. This was referenced from one of his research portals referred to as Lighthouse. Okay, talks about DLT initiatives. So I went ahead and fast forwarded to the key part, and I've also just remember what area to stop it at. This is only about a couple minutes. Shout out to Tokenizer. Let's go ahead and play this. This is some good stuff that you may have not been aware of. Here we go.
Detail. So the story all starts back in 2014 when the three founders of R3, David Rudder, Tom McDonald, and Jesse Edwards, And as we can see, each of them had previously also had some experience within the world of finance already. And that makes sense with how R3 was initially formed as a banking consortium. So the initial goal of this idea was to have a connected network in the financial sector that required less trust between each other and instead trusting a decentralized network where transactions would be far more efficient and operate much more effectively than the current correspondent banking networks. And soon enough, 9 large banks all joined in, with those being JP Morgan, State Street, Commonwealth Bank of Australia, UBS, and a couple others that were mentioned in the report. So, with that level of backing, you can be pretty confident that your startup will do just fine. I mean, these are some of the biggest players in the world of finance, after all. And so, with this, they eventually went from a rather closed banking consortium to evolving into a software company focused on creating enterprise grade technology for industry use cases. After a little further developing, they launched the world's first permission DLT platform, Corda. And this was really attractive and innovative to the world of enterprises. As around this time, there was a whole lot of talk around blockchain and DLT like there are today, but there wasn't anything seriously enterprise built and permission focused like Corda was. Then they decided to come out with a Series A funding round, which actually resulted in being the largest ever DLT investment, in where they secured over $107 million from, again, some of the largest financial institutions in the world. And in this image, we can actually see some of who their investors are, pretty much big investment banks from all around the world, right? We see ones native to America where R3 was founded, like BNY Mellon, Citigroup, and Wells Fargo. And then we see some other international giants like UBS, BNP Paribas, HSBC, Deutsche Bank, etc. And well, since then, they've done a ton more work around collaborating with members in the industry, in addition to working with some other intergovernmental organizations and public sector standard setting bodies at things like test CBDC trials with the Bank for International Settlements.
Yeah, had to leave it right there at the Bank of International Settlements. We already, of course, confirmed it. You saw what was mentioned that with Project Rosalind, the Bank of International Settlements basically chose Overledger to get the job done for them, right? That is such a key thing. But to see what was mentioned here in regards to, R3 quarter and so on, that's also huge for Quant. A little bit more in regards to this, right? Because we're not just going to stop right there. So I was glad to share this, of course, with you guys from the one and only Tokenizer. And if anything, I'm going to try to, refresh this just real quick. We're going to jump down to some other key parts here. And on the screen, you're going to see some things that, you know what, let's face it, it's just worth paying attention to. Let me turn some banners back on. It's kind of a constant thing. I wish I could get a proper hotkey, but it didn't work before. So here's the screen, and here it is back to the site that we showed you earlier, gtreview.com. Let me just see if it comes up all right. Yeah, it does. And on this particular one, we're going to go to the next reference. And I'm sorry, it's actually from Genfinity. So we'll just kick it back over to there. It talks about some of the DLT initiatives, right, that Tokenizer was referencing. And, we, of course, here at CTN have done more than enough deep dives in regards to, all this utility-driven types of blockchain and DLT, right? Whether it is DEG or Quant Network, HBAR and so on. But what I do like what he mentions here is how he consistently mentions Corda. And, when we talk about the Internet Engineering Task Force back a long time ago, you're going to see some things that Gilbert Verdian obviously references. But since we're on the subject of Corda, let's take a moment to get into this real quick. And, he says a large focus will be toward enterprise grade blockchains experiencing the most industry adoption, such as Corda. Now, if the central bank of central banks, which is basically the Bank of International Settlements, literally chooses the Overledger network as its key platform to getting like some of these things done in regards to CBDCs and so on. Well, what about this whole thing about talking about, the blockchains are going to experience the most industry adoption, like what's highlighted here, Corda, right? I understand you see Hyperledger mentioned here and so on, but it says there's like consortium work like INAPA and their work with accelerating adoption of DLT use cases that add value to our economy. Well, who's the king of DLT, right? So if the Bank of International Settlements is the central bank of central banks, then what platform is literally the platform of platforms? All right. So he states here as in tokenizer, and I think this is a great outline, but I'm not going to get into all of it. He says to understand that the terms, like we see here, is basically simonious, and in some cases they are. There is a difference between blockchain DLT, listen to this for a second, and cryptocurrency as a whole. Very, very true. Cryptocurrency assets live on the blockchain, but not every blockchain is focused on cryptocurrency assets. I think you guys have seen this happen here recently, have you not? Briefly, Ethereum is the native cryptocurrency asset in the Ethereum blockchain, but but a blockchain like Corda, listen to this, guys, doesn't have a native cryptocurrency asset on their network. Here's an example. Often purposes of these networks are focused on private and permission initiatives, such as ones that are built towards enhancing efficiencies, for example, with businesses. An example of this can be seen in Corda being utilized for Accenture and SAP's real-time gross settlements for banks. Additionally, there are some use cases that combine both projects with the cryptocurrency ecosystem to help private companies like R3 to bring support, for instance, for like XRP onto a Corda-based payments application. Now, just leaving it at that for just a brief moment. Remember when you guys saw the Overledger demo, or the trailer, I should say, where it shows, after they went public with Overledger, how they're able to easily switch, for instance, to some of these real-time gross settlements platforms, whether it is Ripple's XRP and so on. Yeah, absolutely. If you haven't seen that, you should take a look more into it. R3 Corda has done tons of work within the industry behind the cryptocurrency hype, from being utilized in multiple pilot CBDC projects by, and again, think about why I am connecting this, the Bank of International Settlements. So if R3 is such a massive proponent for this widespread adoption, and the Bank of International Settlements have basically chosen Quant network with Overledger, well, it doesn't take rocket science to see where this is going. But nonetheless, check this out in regards to this outline. Basically speaking, private sector initiatives such as the use of both Corda and Weaver in HSBC and IBM's exploration for CBC interoperability. And how about this, guys? In fact, Corda is the most utilized blockchain in the fintech space, with a large reasoning for this due to the fact that the parent company, offering Corda as a service, R3, was initially conceptualized as a consortium of 9 banks. And you may be wondering, who are those 9 banks? And we're going to get into that. These 9 banks are as follows: Barclays, JP Morgan, BBVA, State Street, Commonwealth Bank of Australia. Again, tokenizer mentioned some of these things. Royal Bank of Scotland, Credit Suisse. Some of you guys call it Credit Suisse, HSBC, and UBS. Now, here's some of the juicy stuff that you may not be aware of, right? And it mentions R3 shortly launched the world's first permission open source DLT platform titled, of course, Corda. Since then, R3 has evolved from a consortium, true, to a very respected enterprise in the fintech space. Countless various banks around the world have joined to collaborate in this banking network. And of course, you got to point out the Bank of International Settlements. That is why I am pointing this out and wanting to pound it home, because sometimes we dismiss the bigger picture when it comes to R3. But look at this for a second. Just think of those countless various banks. Around the world, they have joined to collaborate in this banking network, with 85% of Italy's banks exchanging interbanking messages on Corda. Now, remember a while back, there was a particular gentleman who, he is a content creator. Some of you guys follow him. I can't recollect exactly who he is, but here's the point. He showed proof that he did a test. And when ISO 222 basically went live and everybody was putting all the focus on Ripple's XRP and Stellar's XLM, he showed in the demo demo that he was able to use or actually send an ISO 222 message. And do you guys remember what he did? I'm sure you do. For some of you guys who are paying attention, he used XDC on that message as collateral. And we did see examples of how XDC was the one that had big pumps while the other ones weren't. Understand that R3 corded XDC bridge. We already understand some of these things. But look at this for a second. There are also over 400 core dApps on Corda. Now, I'm not going to talk your ear off about all this stuff, but it references quite a few other things here. But some of the more juicier stuff is, basically speaking, how it says that there's further connections to some of the largest banks in the world, from North American household names such as BNY Mellon, with 42 trillion assets under custody. So while we put so much emphasis on the BlackRocks of the world, 9 trillion in assets. And we talk about, for instance, Fidelity, right? Add another 1 trillion. That's 10 trillion total. And that all we need is just 10% of that. And that would basically double the overall crypto market cap that we're at right now. Understand that a whopping, right, 42 trillion assets under custody, and even Citi, right, 27 trillion assets under custody. Other giants around the world, like ING with a 1.1 trillion assets under management. SBI Holdings, we referenced them earlier, didn't we not? They're not in the trillions, but they have 118 billion assets under management, are also within the network, along with many other banks of similar stature. And if you still don't understand where we're going with this, understand the concept of the utility run and understand what big players are going to be part of that based on how they are interconnected through a platform that provides that interoperability. While Corda is the most, listen to this, guys, utilized DLT platform in the fintech by a long shot, right? I mean, a long shot. Those of you guys who are in the know, you already know what I'm talking about. There are obviously many other use cases for this technology as a whole, as we discussed in our previous deep dive. Shout out to the one, the only tokenizer. And I'll leave you with this. Their foundation is one of the largest blockchain consortiums, thanks to their start with the Linux Foundation, which has seen members from both the legacy and cryptocurrency world participate. And Max, are you going to reference Quant again? Because you're starting to lose me. Yes, Quant, R3, SIA, Microsoft, Accenture, Swift, and hundreds more can be viewed here. As I always say, boil it, mash it, stick it in a stew. It's pretty darn amazing. All right. We got some more Quant for you. And we definitely got to show you what's going on with Mr. Gilbert Viridian. But stay tuned. We're going to jump into comments for a bit because I know I'm pretty far behind. But man, when I read more about what Quant has done, and especially when you confirm some things that happened in the past with R3 especially, it makes me that much more bullish on why I'm so gung-ho about my QNT. All right. Kick it back to the comments. Thank you so much for being here. I see Magic Powers up in the house. I'm sure at some point you said, hello, guten Tag, the Liechtenstein Exchange. Jasmy in the house. Boom, right back at you, my friend. Glad to have you here. JDAT13 is here. Glad to have you here, my friend. Let's also see who's up in his house, as you guys would say. Let's see if there's anything else you guys specifically have. And I'm going to jump back to the last comment I had up here earlier. All right. So give me a chance to get into it. All right. Let's see what we got. Patrick Collier says back at 6:23, about 20 minutes ago, he says, lol, I was watching John's video on XRP just now. Oh, that's cool. That's what's up. That's good, man. Back on the adventure. Yes, that's good stuff, man. Inspector Gadget style, right? All right. What up, Larry the Hooter King? Man, you guys got great nicknames for Larry now. Good evening, Max. Good evening, everyone. Welcome back, L. Wright Sr. Glad to see that you're a regular now, L. Wright. We appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. Maybe we can have L. Wright Jr. here sometime. I don't know. All right. Ahmed says, where are you, John? In the basement or the kitchen? He sticks his tongue out. That's funny. All right. Crypto John, LOL, work, but more importantly on Max's stream. Well, thanks so much, man. In the future, like I said, I mean, if you ever want to get the co-hosting thing going on. You can you're more than welcome to join us on our platform. The invitation will always be there. And if you're not comfortable with it, then that's okay too. We understand. All right, let's see here. Michael Montclair, did you see the new Stellar commercial? It's scary true. You know what? Hopefully, was it the one from a few days ago, or are you talking about one that was released today? All right, let's go further down. Hit that free like button, guys. Yeah, it definitely helps. Let's check the likes real quick. We're at 42 likes. Definitely helps. GG says QNT will move a ton. Price will be very high. Yeah, eventually. I agree. Hey, look at this, guys. Not only were we welcome JDAT, but I said, hey, man, hopefully we see this guy again. You remind me of my childhood with my friends used to always say this, right? The who dealt it, smelt it, but, smelt it, dealt it's back, right? XLM, aka XRTA, large money, stronghold. Yeah, SHX, yep. Joker's Wild, QNT daily, Bollinger bands, very tight move, coming to get your money bag ready to the moon or something like that. All right, that's good stuff. I won't forget about that one. And GG says, he thinks that R3 will be using SEC also. Oh yeah, for sure. Just more volume to come. Now some of these things actually have been confirmed. I mean, I'm not just making that up. I mean, you can look more into that. I think you guys have. Jada XCC is killing it. M letter baby. Yeah. Not only that, I mean, electronic trade documents bill being signed, and not just signed by like some regular legislative body of people, right? From the House of Commons, literally signed by who, guys? Right? The newly crowned king, King Charles and so on. But I'm not a big fan of like the whole royalty concept, but whatever, teaches on. That's a big deal. At the end of the day, that is a big deal. I want to welcome the one and only April Cornwell. She's welcoming everybody. She says, hey, to the beautiful Brittany. And to everybody else. All right. Okay, let me just read maybe a couple more comments. JDAT says he's down for retirement. If not, he'll have 20 years to work. OG Crypto's in the house. Mr. OG Crypto, Mr. Gangsta. He says he thinks we keep listening to Max. Oh, wait, what? I think if we keep listening to Max, though this is not financial advice, we're going to be pretty rich. Well, thank you. Yes, none of it is financial advice. But you know what? It's not just me, guys. I mean, I got to give credit where's credit's due. There's a lot of guys that introduced some things to me that I wasn't even aware of. But all I did from there was basically look more into some of these things and was just like, wow, I'm blown away with some of this stuff. So there's always somebody that reintroduced us to something. I do give a lot of credit to Michael Cornwell because you know what? He called a lot of great things like QNT, like $40. A lot of us got into that, some of us waited. My DCA is obviously average is not $40. I wish, but you know what? There's other ones I did very well on, I did share with audio with you guys. I did share the graph with you guys. I'm still way up on some of those things. And I think a lot of us obviously are way up on now on our XRP, or XLM, obviously some other ones. But the key thing is utility and not allowing our emotions to get in the way where we just say, oh, the market's, recently read, Max, you don't know what you're talking about, man. We went from 1.124 trillion market cap, and now we're at 1.117, and I can't handle this type of emotional stress. I'm out of it. It's a marathon. Like, of course you gotta do what's best for you, but if you're basing everything on the day chart, then yeah, you're going to get destroyed. You're going to let your emotions destroy you. And if anything, it's not about that. It's about that generational wealth. You got to, like that old song, was it Kenny Rogers? No one to hold them, no one to fold them, no one to walk away, and no one to run. We're not at the point where, it's like we're cashing in this stuff, and especially not for a loss. So hopefully nobody is doing that. But every now and then I see in the comments, not from the live, but on recorded videos, like some random Joe Schmo is just like, yeah, I'm out of this. Like this one guy said, Jasmy's crashing to 0.001. And I literally responded to him. I didn't mean no disrespect, but it was just like, come on, man. Even at the height of what happened with FTX, when BTC dropped down briefly to like, was it 15,700 or something like that, or 800? Jasmy was 0.002829. nowhere near 0.001. So again, it's just kind of like what we were talking about yesterday. The name of the show is The Crash with Max, about DYOR with Max, but the thumbnail, is about the crash, right? So it's like, no, I mean, it's, this whole thing, there's always going to be that one guy. I didn't see him yesterday. Maybe there was in the comments. I don't know, but I'm sure you guys probably saw on other shows, because I see you guys are always all over the place with other shows, and that's fine. And there's always going to be that one guy who's going to say 12, it's crashing down to 12K of Bitcoin, right? What data do we have to back that up? Is there any micro, is there any black swan event going on that I don't know about? Is there, is there like 2 or 3 more massive wars that I'm not aware of? You get what I'm saying? I mean, there has to be some great, big, huge things being reported. Now, I understand, this whole thing of like, will basis points be raised and all that? That's a whole other story, right? But that even in itself is not as massive to tank the market for, for one, Bitcoin would have to crash tremendously. We know that Jasmy runs in correlation with BTC and Ethereum, but 0.001, that's 10, was that 10% of a penny? No, God, no. No. I mean, we would have saw some horrible bad news. You want to talk about the strength index indicator? We would be in like massive fear zone right now. Where are we at right now? We're at, we're neutral at like 56 to 58 on that meter, right? So that means the whole pendulum, or, would have to swing, or the, the little thing would have to go the opposite way, right? I just don't see that happening. All right, Salamander, welcome. Glad to have you. Salamander, the XTC commander. Also, again, welcome to Selma Foot, the XRP commander. So the XRP commander and the XTC commander is here. All right, let's welcome just a couple more of you guys. Glad that you're active in the comments, saying what's up to Crypto John. We appreciate you having you here. Crypto Smooth is in the house. He says, "What up, Max? The Million and the CTN fam. Glad to have you back. Welcome back." XRP moving on to the east side. All right, up to the east side of the LBC on a mission trying to find Mr. Warren G. Something like that. All right, Crypto John, I'd be down, Max. My schedule is very limited, though. Fortunately, that's why I'm only streaming 1 or 2 times a week in the morning. Oh, okay, I hear what you're saying. Well, if we can make it happen, we can. If we can't, that's okay too. But we'll work something out sometime. Toyota Prius. That's so wrong. I get that. Oh man, it sounds like something from South Park. Like, you want to try my your Toyota Prius? You want to come down my shitty walk and make it a shitty beef? I know where you're going at. All right, welcome Toyota Prius. He says, "Love this channel." Well, love you too, man. That's awesome. And if anything, if I happen to go down to the Minoka shitty walk, get order some shitty beef, and I drive down there with my Toyota Prius, order number 5, substitute chicken almond chow mein for pork chow mein and fried rice. All right, I can make fun of myself. Dang it, I'm half Asian, for crying out loud. Leave me alone. All right, let's go further down. Jeffrey Shea, welcome back. Crypto John working on that OT to be financially free. Cool stuff. All right, let me double check the other screen. Let's kick it back to what we have, because we do need to finish off the Q&T segment. And let's go ahead and do so. So you're probably wondering, Max, you're going to show the part about Gilbert Verdian and, Elon Musk? Absolutely. So let's go ahead and share this. This is something I need to kind of refresh real quick. Let me just jump to it real quick. And if anything, we won't get to it just yet, because I do want to reference this, because I don't want to mess up the outline. So we're almost to it, guys. Just hang in there. But this is from the one and only Gilbert Verdian. And this was recently posted today. So if anything, you know what? Everybody likes a good update. I should say today. I mean, technically, with the time difference, you want to be technical, yesterday. So this right here says, basically, our founder and CEO, Gilbert Verdian, has written a chapter about central bank digital currencies for Finextra's 2023 report called The Future of Payments. This year's report includes insight from Deutsche Bank, HSBC, sometimes when you read this, you think it says like the effing news. I don't know why it looked that way, but anyway, I'm sorry. From ING News and also Societe Generale. Okay, cool stuff, right? So I'm gonna show you this just for a brief moment, and um, here is the reference. This is straight from the Quant network. This was published yesterday. Look at where the tags are here, right? So right below this is something I always do. Like, I don't know if you guys do this on CMC. I know that, Elon, well, he calls himself Elon Musk, but aka Mike Cornwell, he looks for certain tags, right, on the tokens and the coins. So look at these tags. They tag the Bank of International Settlements. They tag the Bank of England and also CBDC on this one. Now, one of the key things I want to show you is this part right here, and it basically states that anyone who has been involved with a technology project will know that they are notorious, and as we know, notorious, according to Webster's, means well known for something bad. Yeah. For all you youngins who literally think that it's just associated with Biggie Smalls because he's the illest and your style is played out like that Arnold and that what you talking about Willis. No, that's not the definition. Notorious means well known for something bad. Don't believe me? Look it up for yourself. Anyway, so we all know that these particular ones are notorious for being overtime and over budgeted, basically, right? That gives more incentive to use the Overledger platform. It says, we recently completed one that bucks this trend. It has the potential to significantly, listen to this, guys, reshape our underlying monetary system and the nature of currency, creating a slew of opportunities for banks and payment firms that get ahead of the game. I hate tribalism when it comes to meme tokens. I think it's silly, it's childish. But you know what I also can't stand? I can't stand seeing tribalism when it comes to utility. Are we really going to dismiss certain utility projects because it's like, yeah, man, I'm part of this army? Okay, like that's like saying, yeah, man, I'm invested in Coca-Cola, but I'm not going to invest in Pepsi as well. Like, both can make me a lot of money. To me, that's silly. I think it's childish, but whatever. It says, headed by the Bank of International Settlements London Innovation Hub, Project Rosalind is an experiment involving more than a dozen commercial banks and payment companies. Since June of 2022, a year and 1 month basically, has been testing how to safely distribute and settle a retail central bank digital currency issued by the Bank of England. And look what it says. The project specifically, looked at a public-private sector collaboration model in which the public sector would issue the currency and provide basic infrastructure, while the private sector were to produce innovative consumer facing applications. And in regards to Overledger, it says, with Overledger platform, Quant provided the tech to facilitate interoperability between blockchain and those legacy systems. At the end of the day, I mean, they can't just dismiss those systems, right? You got to keep in mind, yeah, there's a flip of the switch, but you do still have to incorporate the old with what's happening with the new. And then eventually it will weed itself out and we'll all be used to the new system. All right. So what I like also here is where they reference cash. I'm going to show you guys this for a second. It says, why do we even need a CBDC? Right? A lot of people feel as though like CBDC is the devil, is so on. You got to keep in mind, if it's in good hands, right, it could be used for good. It could also be used for bad. Fair enough, right? So like he says, it's a fair question. Gilbert Vernon doesn't dismiss some of these things. Just real quick. Many of us are very satisfied with the real-time payments and internet banking offerings that are basically already available. The introduction of open banking in recent years has led to the creation of even more convenient payment options, but this overlooks the fact that there's a key responsibility of any central bank, and that basically is to make central bank money useful and accessible to citizens. Cash alone is now struggling to fulfill this mandate, given it's become, a commonplace for vendors to refuse to accept. I mean, even at the height of COVID, I mean, how many times did you see, places like they wouldn't even accept cash, right? So if anything, you think that would create more and more of the demand for some of this stuff. So in regards back to like Project Rosalind, it states right here, In this case, a customer would purchase goods from a vendor using their CBDC account through the funds that were temporarily held to ensure that the seller and goods were genuine and the money could not simply disappear into, for instance, thin air or wherever, right? I want to show you guys this, and that was just an update, but check this out. Let's finally get into this part. So it says, for instance, because, of this whole transition with X from Twitter, classic Twitter, the blue bird, Gilbert Verdian literally tweeted this out the other day. He says, I'm sure we've seen this logo before. And just to double check that you can see this, I'm going to double check what's going on. This is worth paying attention to, guys. He says, I'm sure we've seen this logo before, Elon Musk, and he references it from Wikipedia. Okay. So we're going to take you to that Wikipedia real quick. And if anything, check this out for a brief moment, because you may not have been aware of this either. And yeah, here it is. So this is interesting. It says the window system, right? The X window system, X11, or simply X, is a windowing system for bitmap displays common on Unix-like operating system, right? And it shows a lot of things here, but on the far right side of the screen, the initial release was June of 1984. Now, I also want to state this. What also was founded back in 1984 that is consistently referenced alongside with, for instance, Quant, right? Well, Quant always cites the IETF, the Internet Engineering Task Force. Also, 1984. Those guys were the pioneers of the internet. I mean, if we talk about, Web 3 and where we're going and so on, at that point, that wasn't even Web 1. I mean, you could call it like Web 0.1 or whatever, right? I mean, we're talking like the literal inception of trying to build an actual internet, getting to a Web 1, okay? So he talks about this and how the initial release was 39 years ago and how there's all these purposes and abilities. And I'm not going to get into all this because I don't want to bother you with it. I don't want to bore you with it. But some of the key findings here also is the license, right? Comes from MIT. We understand that, Gilbert Verdian and the Quant Network have some strong ties, obviously, to MIT. They helped them test some things in regards to not necessarily just Project Rosalind, but in the past, we also saw Project Hamilton, Project Icebreaker, a lot of key things, right? Its standard distribution is a complete, albeit simple display and interface solution which delivers standard toolkit and protocol stack for building graphical user interfaces on most Unix-like operating systems and so on in regards to the X architecture. I could talk your head off about this, and I'm not going to do that. But, some of the key things that it mentions, just real quick, is user workstation, keyboard, mouse, screen. That was a big deal back then, right? X server, X client, browser, and all this stuff. Right? Remote desktop. I mean, we take this for granted nowadays. User interfaces, right? When you guys talk about, for instance, we talk about, like, for instance, like APIs and stuff like that. We understand that's the middleman, right? Imagine way before all this stuff, right? You had to have kind of like the pioneers, right? But it's really interesting to see how all this is referenced. And of course, this logo, like I mentioned, in regards to the X window system. Now, let's jump back for this, to this for a second. Again, here's one of the highlights. Another thing I want to show you, basically speaking, is some of the key findings that I saw right here. And it's basically this right here, right? About what's also referenced, I should say. And if anything, let me just jump back here to for a brief moment. Okay, here it is. Even this lady, Linda Yaccarino, driven by industry progress, references this. All right, and then you can see a little bit of Quant Papa showing like the old logo, but like with Quant. I mean, it's kind of cool stuff, right? But one of the cool things also is this right here. This comes from Quant Papa. Let me share this with you guys. This is cool stuff. So he's got this whole thing about this multi-CBDC economy. And on the bottom, it talks about how SATP across gateway representing wholesale CBDC networks and a multi-CBDC network is an attractive means to permit CBDC asset transfer. Well, what gets this all done? Again, with Quant's overledger. As we jump into this next part, we talked about the ISO TC 307 standard. Look at what it mentions in regards to SATP and even ISO 222 that we always reference. It states that interoperability among networks managing digital assets involve more than just communicating desire or intent, for example, through requests, responses, and notifications. Need asset properties to be enforces at a cross-network level, SAT architecture draft, communication, interoperability. Talks about how, for instance, this is like, some of these things in regards to syntax, the semantics is insufficient. SATP requires systems to carry out state updates in concert to achieve the desired outcome. ISO 222 does not solve the problem that SAP is trying to solve, and vice versa. However, there's both standards and they're applicable to the scenarios listed in SATP use cases, drafts, and so on. But it says there's possible functions for ISO 222 gateway ownership validation, owner status, validation, asset profile and identification, and communication of travel, rule, and transfer context information. Now, the reason why I want to point out some of this stuff is because, for one, if you guys saw the last deep dive for Quant, some of you guys were kind of upset for whatever reason, which tells me you don't watch the whole video. And in that video, it talks about how off of the metaverse alone, we should see a 15K Quant. That's off of that alone. Okay. That doesn't even include all this other stuff that we're talking about. Yes, I'm fully aware that, QNTB is going to be worth obviously a lot more than 15K. Some of the naysayers are going to say I'm full of it. Hey, you know what? That's fine. I don't really care. But my key thing is there's so much more to all this that's definitely worth sharing. I'm going to jump into this next part real quick. And here's the juicy part that I want to get into. Back to this reference from Gilbert Verdian. Like he says, I'm sure we've seen this logo before, and I'll show you the bottom, just making sure it shows on the screen. It gets kind of cut off, but Quant Papa did a good job of showing this. It says, QNT X Multi-Chain Explorer Web3. Imagine you can use one browser to explore all blockchains. Now, you got to keep in mind, okay, so much talk about, what is X doing? Okay, I even saw some people from the XDC community and so on saying, this is awesome, man. This is, the three X's, XRP, XLM, XDC, and so on. But you know what? I think we do need to give the, Quant some recognition too. Check this out. We're going to jump into this right now. Please smash that like. Check this out for yourself. This is really, really cool that Quant Papa somehow was able to get this Quant X. Look what it says, Quant X, not just Quant X, Demo Multi-Chain Explorer. This is why Gilbert Verdian is literally doing what, guys? Right? Tagging Elon Musk. It's one thing to say, oh, hey, look what happened many years ago. This is similar, right? That would be a nothing burger to a sense, right? It'd be like, oh, okay, that's cool history. Where are you going with this? This is where we're going with this. So, yeah, give Quant Pop a freaking follow, man. He's killing it when it comes to some of these findings, right? So here is the old Quant X demo, multi-chain explorer. And after we show this, try your own conclusion, right? Is this why Gilbert Verdian was tagging Elon Musk? I think so. But you know what? Some people are not going to agree with it, and that's okay. Smash that like. Let's play this. Again, shout out to Quant Papa. It doesn't have audio, but that's okay. And you have seen, Gilbert Verdian use some of these examples instead of Google. I know this is kind of hard for you, some of you guys to see if you're like sitting on your couch or whatever. all the way back in 2018, 3 lines of code. Avoid buying additional infrastructure. Comply to security and regulation. All right, that's pretty old school. But again, the point is, and I'll jump back to this for a brief moment. Hold on a second. And that basically is, the concept of what? QNT-X Multi-Chain Explorer, aka what you saw right here, Quant X. I mean, is it more than coincidence? Why would Gilbert Verdine go out of his way to mention some of these things? That's just my key takeaway. And I'm also going to show you guys this. I think that might be it after this. Hold on a second. Let's just show you guys this last one. Here it is. And you should see on your screen. Yeah, I'll keep that zoomed in for a second. Look at that. Overledger is like Windows in the 90s. Right? You always hear about Gilbert Verdine talk about those maps, right? Multi-apps. Multi-app 1 to the Overledger. Same with 2, 3, and 4. It's just kind of like, internet apps equals Overledger. I mean, it's a good example. First generation of blockchains, interoperability to all of this stuff. We talk about not just Hyperledger Fabric, everything that's part of the Hyperledger consortium, not just Fabric. There's other ones. Ethereum, Bitcoin, Stellar, Ripple, second generation blockchains. Some of the more familiar ones, Cardano, IOTA. Obviously, I'm investing into that. How about some of these layer zeros, right? Interoperability blockchains. You have even Polkadot and Aeon listed there. So I don't know. We just like to give you some of the news, the education. That's bullish as all hell, in my opinion. To see something like that. So glad to share it with you guys. The next segment will be the Jasmy segment. After that, we'll get into a brief HBAR segment. Thank you so much for connecting to us tonight. Please smash that like. Please, for instance, share this with others if you really appreciate the content. But nonetheless, yes, if you have any questions or comments, please share that with us. All right, we're going to kick it back to the comments. Let's turn some banners back on. Hopefully you enjoyed that little Q&T segment. And let's see where we're at. All right, going to welcome a few more people. All right, let's go further down. Got some of you guys talking crap about the SEC. I can't blame you on that. Toyota. All right, let's see here. I can't get into XDC. It keeps on moving up. Yeah, but you know what? I feel as though that, I think Investor Place is right. There's going to be some sales in August. You have your time. As much as like some people, every day I get at least one person like, come on, Max, hurry up and cover Casper already. Like you say, you got to be personally invested in this. Just come on board, man. So I'm not letting my emotions, just because a lot of people want me to cover it all the time. I am waiting for some certain pullbacks. I feel as though that the prices possibly in August are going to be a little bit more significant than what they are now. But yeah, guys, you don't have to. It's not going over my head when it comes to Caspa. All right, Toronto Prius, South Park. Yeah, welcome. Yes, and if anything, I if there is a local shitty walk, I wouldn't mind getting some shitty beef. So anyway. Jeffrey Shea, patient, smooth, don't FOMO right now. KK, I'm thinking about getting metal legs. It's a risky operation, but it's worth the risk. Huh? For real? I didn't know that you. Huh? All right. Let's go further down. You guys got some interesting comments. Got some gorillas, like the lynch mob, gorillas in the mist. Pepsi or Coke? Coke all the way, man. Definitely Coke for me. Pepsi's too sweet and it doesn't have the bite of like Coke, but teach his own. All right. What movie was it in which what was that? It was Daddy's Boy or something like that. Or not Daddy's Boy, Little Nicky, where he turns turns Coke into Pepsi or Pepsi into Coke or something like that. It's like, really, that's the most evil thing you could come up with. That was kind of a funny movie. It got horrible reviews, but It's kind of funny in its own way. All right, all the way, Inu, welcome back. Hey guys, how about that XRP pump last week? Good to see it. Yeah, absolutely, man. Welcome back. Blackwood, welcome, man. Glad to have you back, Blackwood. All right. And let's see what else we got up in the house. All right. How about that DAG? Casper, glad I grabbed a bag. Very cool stuff. Boom. We'll just read a few more. I need more coins. I need it. Says Edward Vincent, aka Squidward. Max, your QNT price of 15K is in what time frame? Oh man, I mean, here's the thing. So if you were basing it just off of the metaverse alone, then that'd be 2030. People don't like me saying that. Again, it's for the example to make sense on the outline, right? And what you also saw in the outline was that's lowballing it. That's lowballing QNT by 2030, right? And that's just off the metaverse, and the figure showed it was between 8 trillion and 13 trillion for the metaverse in itself. And you guys can even go into it and do the math for yourself. And that's, of course, comparing it to date, or at the time of making the video, comparing it to the market cap of Ethereum at roughly, give or take, 282 to 285 billion market cap. Obviously, I feel as though the QNT is going to be worth a heck of a lot more than 15K, but come on, 15K just off the metaverse alone, figure it out for yourself. You know what I mean? Like, we just gave you some of the stuff about R3, right, with Corda and so on, and how that's like, you want to talk about institutional widespread adoption. That's why, like, every time, I should say every time, but there's always that one or few random people, and it's just what comes with the territory. They'll say something like, QNT at the most is going to be $1,000. It's like, what research have you done? You know what I mean? Like, and they'll say, oh, I've done a ton of research. Like, yeah, I don't know. Because I mean, if I can reference once again, like we showed you earlier in the outline, what do we say, guys? I mean, it wasn't just 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 trillion. Didn't we say something like over 100 trillion in worldwide assets? You don't think that's huge? All we need is just little small percentages of these ones to bring some of this, put it, into the overall crypto market, and then to get verification that, yeah, okay, Quant is the one, and they're doing it with R3, and they're doing it with the Bank of International Settlements, and the Bank of International Settlements already has that deal or that partnership with R3. I don't understand why people don't see it when it comes to Quant. There's a reason why I say that Quant is my number one. Well, Quant and XRP are kind of like time for number one, but I've been pretty consistent with it. Yeah, I cover Quant a lot more than XRP, but let's face it. I mean, XRP gets way more coverage from just the masses, right? And that's nothing bad. I'm just saying. So there's gonna be ones I look more into than others, but that's okay. All right, let's read a few more comments. Jada, if XDC gets to $10, is it going to matter if you bought it at 5 cents or 2 cents? That's true. I mean, maybe you're trying to make this example in regards to me and my Caspa. But I don't know. I mean, the way I look at it is that means you're worth a little bit more. You know what I mean? Anyway, Blackwood, train is still at the station. Ticket prices keep going up, but hasn't left yet. That's a good point. All right. Let's see here. Blackwood, my bags are also my pets. I feed them regularly, and when it comes to Caspa, I will make it morbidly obese. Yes, morbidly obese. You lose teeth like little C's, or however it goes, right? Biggie Smalls. What's he say? You obese like Della Reese. You lose teeth like little C's. Play please. Anyway, so shout out to you guys that listen to 90s hip hop, right? Anyway, all right. Pineapple, good stuff. I'll read this and then we'll kick it in because this is the last comment. That was in reference to Smooth saying there was no entry because XTC was all right, my bad. All right, let's kick it into what we got on the next thing. And now it's going to be the Jasmy segment. Smash the like for some Jasmy, right? Some of you guys like it when the Jasmy coverage is at the beginning or in the middle. But if anything, I think you just appreciate Jasmy coverage, period. All right. let's get into it. So glad to share some of that quant coverage. That was bullish in my opinion. You know, some of those key findings. Just trying to close out some of these things. Man, I got a lot of quant stuff open, obviously. All right, we're gonna talk about the circulating supply of Jasmy, and then we'll get into some of the the bullish news, right? And we even have a little brief Binance update for you guys in regards to Jasmy. So if anything, you know what? Smash that like for some Jasmy. Man, it's getting hot on this side of the house. My freaking bottom of my legs are sticking to this darn leather. I don't know if you guys ever got up after sitting too long on some leather and you're wearing shorts. Like absolutely feels like somebody taking like tape and ripping it across the bottom of your leg or something. Horrible. All right, here we go. Shout out to the one and only Dip Metaverse. Like I've always mentioned, you need to give him a follow. In reality, I'm just throwing it out there. He probably will be the QNT, the Jasmy ambassador from the United States. I kind of seen that happening. But I do appreciate, everybody's giving me support in that regard. All right, let's get into this. So Dip Metaverse has this update, and it was, I believe, reported today on the 25th. So here it goes. He states, Jasmy, circulating supply update. 70 million tokens from the deployer were added to the circulating supply 5 hours ago. Circulating supply is 48 billion 689 million 999,999. We are now at 97.38% of the total supply. There's a total of 1.31 billion left in the deployer wallet. And of course, you guys are more than welcome to take a look into this if you want to do so. I'll blow this up a little bit more just to kind of put some emphasis on this. Here we go. And yeah, you can verify it yourself at Etherscan. Let me drop it down a little bit more. All right. Here it is. As you can see, the balance right there. Like he mentioned, about roughly 5 hours or so, 5.5 hours, right? Give or take. Jasmy deployer, and you see the quantities and so on. Okay. So that's worth pointing out. Some people feel as though it's not. I mean, it's not as big of a deal as, 500 million basically being moved from, Binance to potentially Binance Japan, right? But nonetheless, I think it's worth reporting on, to say the least. Let me show you guys just a tad bit more what we have. All right. Let's jump into this. Here is a update in regards to CZ and Binance. So let's jump into this because you guys have been paying attention to it, and I do appreciate the support you guys have been giving us in regards to our last update. It was just a brief, video update last time. This comes from Jasmy US. Shout out to Jasmy US. And he states an update on Binance Japan, which should begin in August. Let's face it, a lot of people reported that it's literally August 1st. Some of you guys feel as though that, no, that's solid, Max. That you guys gotten some confirmation. Hey, teaches on. Keep in mind, it is Binance. Sometimes they delay things. A lot of times they do go right with, some of the projections of what if they say August 1st, usually it is August 1st, but just keep in mind, there could be some delays. In regards to CZ, he believes Japan is leading the way with Web3 and pro-crypto policies this year that reversed the 2017 ban. I mean, and that alone is very, very bullish. We also, of course, understand that, and a lot of people blame this guy and Binance because it's like we had a tremendous momentum. We were basically, what was it, at 0.008 before Binance put Jasmy, or Binance US, I should say, put Jasmy in the innovation zone. Yeah. But nonetheless, let's play this. And this comes from WebEx, and he talks about some of these things that are coming up here soon. Smash that like. I'm going to go ahead and hit the like on this. And if anything, I'm going to share it, retweet it. Thanks again for being here, guys. here is the Jasmy segment you've been waiting for. Here we go.
こんにちは。私はバイナンスの CZ です。しばらくですね。日本語はそれで全部です。Yeah, please don't judge me for my limited Japanese. I did live in Japan for many years early in my career as a developer, not so strong at learning the language. I love everything about Japan. Japan has a very special place in my heart. I love the food, the people, the environment, the industry, etc. It's fantastic to see Japan being a leader in the Web3 regulatory environment. Japan had very clear regulations from 2017 with crypto exchange regulations. And more recently, this year, with the opening up of crypto listing frameworks, as well as in June, the passing of the stablecoin regulations. So Japan is a flagship leader in this area, and I think it's an example for the rest of the world to follow. And to that end, Binance is extremely happy to be able to participate in the Japanese market again, from the acquisition of the SEBC platform last November, and we're going to launch the full service in August. So hopefully we'll see you on our platform again, and see you soon in Japan. Cheers, Jane.
All right, so that's just a brief little update in regards to what's going on with Binance. We're going to show you guys obviously a little bit more when it comes to this whole thing of Jasmy and the whole bigger picture. So I'm going to show you guys this in a bit, trying to get it primed for you. There was a recent update that you may not have been aware of in regards to what's going on with Japan. All right, let me just go ahead and get this. It comes from Cointelegraph, believe it or not. I think some of you guys may have seen this, but maybe you didn't see all the key things that was reported. Here it is. Japan's Prime Minister reaffirms Web3 plans as Binance, just like we were talking about earlier, announces imminent launch. Fumio Kishida described Web3 as a, quote, new form of capitalism in a keynote address at the WebX conference in Japan. Now, there's a lot that he mentioned, so I'm not going to get into all of it. I'm just going to jump down to some of the key parts. But Kishida himself made the comments in a keynote address on day one of the WebX conference in Tokyo, Japan, as initially reported by local media outlets, coin posts, and so on. On the same day, as you guys saw with CZ, Binance announced that cryptocurrency exchange, which would, let's face it, unofficially is referred to as Binance Japan. We haven't gotten like the official word if it's going to be called that, but they announced that their exchange would launch its services on the new Japanese platform in August 2023. Of course, a lot of you guys feel as though it's literally going to be on August 1st. We'll see what happens in regards to that. So, of course, there's this whole interview and so on, but Kishida highlighted Web3's potential to drive innovation across industries, and even highlighted the events in regards to the role in bringing in industry players to Japan to drive collaboration. A lot more to it, obviously, than just some of these key industry players, but here's a quote. He says he hopes that the Web3 industry will regain its attention and vitality in, or I should say, in that various new projects will be, born, right? Like, think about all the ones that are connected to various industries, not only all across Japan, but some of the key partnerships they have, for instance, with like Hong Kong and some of those other things, right? So EOS Foundation CEO Yavis La Rose, I'm probably not pronouncing that right, washed on from the crowd during Kishida's address. He tweeted that the Prime Minister's words signal a welcoming attitude towards Web3 that's being fostered in Asia. I just want to point this out real quick. Can you imagine if we in the United States had that welcoming attitude? Like, I think things are starting to change a little bit, right? With the Ripple victory, but man, not even close, right? Not even a drop in a bucket compared to how Japan is going about innovation and, embracing blockchain and distributed ledger technologies. All right, so look at this. It says, while the West continues to antagonize, again, a little bit like what I was talking about earlier, blockchain companies, Asia is welcoming us in with their arms wide open. Yeah, literally like what I just said, right? in Asia, the future is bright for crypto. You see some of the ones that they have here: Hashkey, Xeno, Nero, Tron, Polkadot, A-Star. Some of the people from the A-Star community will, I have nothing against them, but like sometimes like when we reference Sony, people will be like, it's A-Star that has the key thing with Sony. It's not Jasmy. It's like teach his own, but there's a lot of that going on. I like this other quote: the new form of capitalism, it was hailed at the movement's potential to drive growth through the resolution of social issues. So all this stuff, in my opinion, is very bullish. And then this part, of course, again, a reiteration of Binance before we close out this particular part of Binance and get into the next part about Jasmy. It says Binance confirmed to Cointelegraph, right, who brings you guys this article, that is set to offer its services to Japanese cryptocurrency users from August onwards. Again, like you guys feel as though it's August 1st. The company acquired the local exchange platform Sakura Exchange Bitcoin, which is SEBC, in November 2022. I mean, was this them basically preparing for the future? Now, back then, a lot of people felt as though, yes, that was literally their plans to do some big things, and teach is on, right? So it says, as exchange outlined in the announcement of the deal, the 100% acquisition of the Japanese registered crypto exchange service provider paved the way for Binance's re-entry into the country. I mean, they seized the opportunity. I think also they seized the opportunity with, let's face it, tanking the price of Jasmy to like dirt cheap. And then what you guys saw also recently, when it came to moving a bunch of money, it was over $500 million to purchase a bunch of Jasmy. It's pretty crazy, right? Some people call that manipulation. At the end of the day, they are a business, and it is very cutthroat. So it is what it is. In regards to CZ, he made that, of course, that virtual appearance. He delivered that little keynote and so on, and we already saw that. This part right here: Japan has been clear since 2017 with crypto exchange regulations, and more recently this year with its crypto listing frameworks as the passing of stablecoin regulations. Right. You got to keep in mind that this whole thing of DFFT is literally that regulatory framework, especially for Japan. In June 2023, saw a flurry of headlines involving Japan and the Web3 sector. The National Tax Agency revised legislation, right? We know about this, that exempts token issuers in the country for paying corporate taxes on unrealized cryptocurrency, gains. I mean, my God, yeah. So you're incentivizing corporate industries and so on to get involved in blockchain and DLT. It's a big, big win. All right. That concludes what we have in regards to Jasmy. The last segment that we have for you tonight is Hedera. Please smash that like. Let's get into the comments. I think there's only a few, which is okay. And let's see here. Yes, Crypto Smooth, Ask a Blackwood, morbidly obese man. Yes, obese like Delo Reese. All right, let's go further down. You guys are loving your Jasmy. With Jasmy with the fire. Tim Shea, Blackwood, I agree on my end too. Give dabs, all good stuff. Glad you guys like that. So, Cash so bullish, Binance, me thinks, bought up all that Jasmy. Well, even though it's pointed towards cash, that's what I think of what's going on too. All right. XTC not on MXC. No, but they're on KuCoin. All right. And obviously other exchanges and so on, but you can't do any spot trading on KuCoin as of, was it the 15th of this month? So it is what it is. All right. Tim Shea says he got his on KuCoin last year. You think Bitmart and Uphold also have XDC? Tim, I was going to ask you something, right? Of the two exchanges you got your the XSP is on, XSwap, which one did you go with? I meant to send you a DM about that. You could either drop it in the comments here, or if you just want to DM me, just drop it here, because you never know, maybe somebody else wants XSwap, because I do want to get a big XSwap, but I'm going to wait until I feel as though like the whole market is pulled back significantly, which I think is going to be later in August. That's just me. All right. Magic Power says Japan Prime Minister says the country is creating an environment for crypto, thinks it can transform the internet. JDAT, Max, any thoughts on the bull run price of Casper? I don't have that yet, man. I don't. I'm not going to BS you on that yet. I should say, BS me on that yet. That doesn't sound right. I'm not going to BS you on that because you got to keep in mind, I don't hold any Casper yet. And I want to look at it from with a fine-tooth comb of how I feel as though long-term where they can go and so on. Right now, there's no way I would even go there right now. I mean, if Crypto John wants to go there, if you're listening, he can mention it. I'm not going to do that right now. There's some ones I feel as though I'll do, like, but on that one, no. You got to keep in mind, this is something that, I'll be recently getting into and so on as far as like holding a bag, but I haven't really thought about it over, like, I don't know, man, like 2025, what's Caspa going to be, or, between 2025 and 2030. Haven't had a chance to really think that out, but that's a good question, man. That'd be a better question for somebody like maybe Crypto John, or, you know what? Shout out to GF Burke. You're right. He's really, gung-ho about Caspa all the time. So we'll see what's going on with that. Jeffrey Shea, H-Bar Fire. Yeah, we'll bring you guys some of that here in a bit. It has to do with Google. Boomers, useless Jasmy prediction, 0.34, January 24, $2, May 2024. It's not useless, Boomer. Don't be so hard on yourself, buddy. But, we all got, predictions, guesses, right? It's okay. All right. Magic Power says, Bajit, a company led by Jasmy executive Kazumasa Sato, will be hosting Japan's economic minister and ambassador to Bangladesh, as well as others, to talk about economic ties for a prosperous future. Yeah, it sounds bullish as hell, don't it? The Bajit company name is an acronym for Bangladesh Japan Information Technology. That I didn't know. That is very useful information, Magic Power. Thank you for that. I was not aware of that. That is really cool. Very cool. All right. I want $2. You got the brewskis. That sounds good right now, to be honest, man. I could go for I'm not a big fan of most beers, but I do like a Pabst Blue Ribbon PBR. And then I do like certain ales, like, I like some brown ales, anyway. Not all of them, but anyway. Some certain ales pair well. Like one time I had a good brown ale up in Flagstaff, Arizona. It was this really juicy burger made with what's called Edam cheese. That is a really good cheese. That's probably like some of the best cheese that pairs with a burger. Anyway, so it's a more of an expensiver cheese. It comes from the Netherlands, but it's good stuff, man. It was out of this world. Anyway, Jasmy, $10, November 2024, when Trump is elected. We'll see. We'll see. All right. I mean, $10 Jasmy, November 2024. That's only like a year. Was it like a year and 3 months or something like that? I mean, I'm all for it, man. Don't get me wrong, but we'll see what happens. All right. Crypto Smooth, Jasmy, $10 party for CTN family in Florida. It's got to be it can't be in the summertime, man. That's gonna be like brutal. Maybe in spring or something. I don't know. All right. Let's go ahead and highlight this. Please smash that like. Let's get into the last segment that we have for tonight. It's not going to be a very long show, but let's get into the last segment of tonight. Please smash that like for some Hedera H-Bar. And if anything, let's just take a brief moment to maybe go about this a different way. All right. Some of you guys have seen me do this. All right. So let's share this. And let's get into the H-Bar news. All right, Hedera H-Bar. What's going on with Google, right? We know that Google is one of Hedera's key governing council members. So I'm going to share this with you guys. It comes straight from cloud.google, believe it or not. And let's get on the screen so you can see it. And it is in regards to Hashport. Let me come back into the frame. I'm going to turn on a few key things here for a brief moment. Like I said, this is just a brief Hedera update. So, like it's mentioned, leveraging Google Cloud to make decentralized finance faster, more scalable, and secure. This is reported, I guess, yesterday evening, roughly, right? It comes from Jesse Whiteside, head of business development from Hashport. All right. So this is part 3 of a series, but that's not the point. I'm gonna get down to some of the cool things that you want to pay attention to. If you were not aware of Hashport, they are, of course, like it says, bridging utility with the core function, of facilitating the movement of digital assets between blockchain networks and the open source Hedera public ledger. Hashport's governance structure reflects the hybrid decentralization of its parent network, with industry-leading organizations enlisted to support its independent validators set. The Hashport team is currently working to adapt its existing bridging modules to accommodate more enterprise-focused use cases and specialized industries, which is reflected in the creation of Hashport Pro's feature sets. This includes integrations between bridging aggregators, custom payment channels, and the launch of an enterprise-grade, listen to this, Hedera native blockchain Oracle service called Axiom. Now, some of you guys may know about Axiom and so on, and maybe in the future I'll try to do more of a proper deep dive about it. But for the purposes of this brief segment, we're going to focus on what Hashport has to report in regards to this news with Google. It says BCW has played a critical role in Hashport's evolution from ideation to development and beyond. God, it sounds like what's his name, Buzz Lightyear, doesn't it? But it says, as part of Hashport's validator set, BCW manages daily platform operations and verifies transactions by running one of the validator nodes. By combining BCW's Web3 acumen with Hashport's interoperability expertise, the platform adheres to the highest of standards. Here at CTN, let's face it, we always report about standards, right? It's not just about, ISO 222 standards or ISO TC 307 Quant standards, right? Hedera, you better believe, has their own standards too. The teams involved reflect the persistence of positive industry values and the discipline of an enterprise-grade platform. The foundation of Hashport's core functionality lies in its validator set. Now, we're not going to get into all of these specifics, but what I want to mention is in regards to this right here. The validators work in concert with multiple protocols to facilitate, listen to this, asset bridging while maintaining a shared state that tracks bridging functions, smart contract status, hence why we were talking about, Stellar the other day when it came to Sorbonne. That's their key smart contract platform. But this is Hedera, right? So with Hedera, it says the token service, HTS, and user-generated receipts. Now, here's the part about Google. Google Cloud is an ideal choice for simplifying the management of Hashport's validators and core network integrations, such as Ethereum, BNB, Smart Chain, of course, and the BSC blockchain network, right? One critical aspect of managing validators for multiple organizations is ensuring a robust security, particularly for secure key computation. Back to Google. Google Cloud offers a range of security options such as confidential computing using AMD EPYC processors. Again, remember when I was mentioning that example of just because you could be invested in Intel, you're not going to invest in AMD as well. I mean, I think they're both great opportunities, just like the stock market. I might be invested in Coke. I'm not going to also invest in Pepsi. So if we're not doing tribalism with the stock market, why does it all of a sudden apply to crypto? I'm just throwing that out there. I just think that's silly. Although each validator makes their own management decisions according to their institutional requirements, Hashport, listen to this, guys, provides guidance suggesting best practices wherever possible. All right, just this last part in regards to the functionality of Hashport and Google. Hashport's functionality also extends, of course, to nodes. Google Cloud's blockchain node engine enhances the ease and efficiency of running and managing nodes on hashports and network, ensuring strong performance and security. This powerful tool integrates seamlessly with Google Cloud's other features, such as virtual private cloud, VPC internal networks, network intelligence center, and performance monitoring. This other part, Google Cloud offers robust infrastructure that fosters innovation while ensuring security, making it an ideal choice, of course, for Hashport. I mean, guys, come on, just real quick. I know I'm reading a lot of this verbatim, but hear me out. Everything that's outlined here gives you a definition of that supply and demand for some of these technologies. The combination of Google Cloud's advanced technology and the potential of decentralized finance highlights the importance of a balanced approach when discussing the future of the industry. All right, just a tad bit more. I said that I wouldn't do this, but this is good stuff. Google Cloud is known for its user-friendly interface and streamlined administrative features. As a Web3 bridging solution, think about how that sounds, right? Hashport harnesses Google Cloud's usability, roles, groups, and big table integration for efficient infrastructure management. This is particularly useful when managing multiple services, nodes owned by a diverse set of companies with individual requirements. And this will be the last part, I promise. Leveraging Google Cloud's intuitive interface and granular access control through identity and access management, which is called IAM, lets developers seamlessly access resources and assign permissions even across organizations. So, you know, when we talked about the example before about, like, you know, I will use this example about, you know, Sorbonne being that, like, let's turn that master key to unlock a huge, robust ecosystem, like 70 plus projects, right? But that's the smart contract platform for them. Keep in mind, when it comes to Hedera, they have a lot of things going on, right? They have already a big ecosystem. But why is this one such a key one, right? And I think, if anything, we define why that is, because this simply does just that. It allows Google Cloud's infrastructure, right, to basically assign these permissioned resources across a very vast, robust amount of different organizations and so on. That creates more of that supply and more of that demand. I don't know. I think it's pretty cool. I'm glad to see that there's an update in regards to this. You're more than welcome to read more about this and so on. It's quite the read up. Obviously talks about like how they have this update about Ethereum virtual machines, EVMs. Talks more about, you know, Axiom. I had to look more into Axiom. I think it's interesting. If I'm researching more about Sorbonne, I think I need to find out more about Axiom, right? Because just on the surface, it says Axiom utilizes the platform's robust validator infrastructure to ensure that secure and reliable data transmission occurs between Hedera and EVM-based platforms. Now, if you've been following a lot of this stuff, right, there was ZK EVM with, for instance, Polygon, and that was a big deal. We saw something like a tremendous amount of volume because, you know, developers from Ethereum were jumping ship over to Polygon. Is Axiom the answer for this? I don't have the answer yet, but if anything, I think it's interesting. On the surface, I want to find out more about that. So smash that like. Glad to show you guys this brief segment in regards to Hedera, and especially Google. I mean, at the end of the day, even if you're new to the whole concept about, you know, Hedera and, you know, some of these technologies that tied into Google and so on, it sounds cool. You know, I mean, who doesn't know about Google unless they've been living under a rock their whole life? All right, gonna read the last bit of comments and let's see what we have. We have Keep Stacking says, yo, what's good? All holding that Luna Classic. Good for you, man. Glad to have you here. Keep stacking. Boom. GG says, question, why are you more on Jasmy versus IOTA for IoT? Maybe because I just need to research more of IOTA, to be honest. You know, I mean, I researched a ton of Jasmy. Maybe I put a little bit more into IOTA. You know, but another thing is this. I do, on the surface, I do feel as though that when it comes to that risk to reward ratio, I think Jasmy takes the cake on it. I'm not downplaying IOTA. I think it's a great one that's obviously part of ISO 222. But as far as me knowing a lot more about IOTA compared to Jasmy, to be honest, I don't. You know what I mean? So if anything, I'll try to, since I obviously I own it. I did say I would start tagging it more often. Maybe I start tagging it every episode. I don't know. You know, at the end of the day, it's only so much time. But I'm not going to downplay IOTA. But I just think that I can, you know, it's more of that risk to reward ratio, return on my investment. Some people are, of course, going to disagree with me 100% on that, and that's okay. And this is another reason why I feel as though that like this just proves more and more why a lot of us should be more diversified in our portfolio. There's a few guys who are going to just stack certain things. Maybe you are stacking IOTA and you're not stacking Jasmy, or maybe your priorities IOTA or Jasmy, or whatever the case be. You know, we all have our reasons, but I know that IOTA is definitely up there when it comes to, you know, when we talk about the Internet of Things and, you know, data and all that stuff. So, you know, we could go all day long with some of this stuff. Like I could talk about Energy Web Token. I could talk about, you know, Constellation DAG. I could talk about some of these other ones and so on. I mean, I could talk about Ocean Protocol. All these ones I think are good projects. And I think at one point I did add them all up. If I decided, you know what, Max, you need to get into all these ones that have solid utility. It was literally anywhere from 25 to 30,000 more compared to like what I already have into my investments. And I already have a lot that's invested into it already. That's not me flooding anything. I'm just being real about it and so on. So, I mean, my thing is I can't own everything. I may feel like I can own everything, but in reality, I can't. And that's just where it's at. But let me know. What do you think is, are you more bullish on IOTA compared to Jasmy if you had to pick one or the other? And that's another thing. I mean, why, you know, somebody asked me this before, like, you can only pick one, Max. I said, that's like asking me if I'd rather have a, you know, ribeye steak or ice cream sundae or something, you know, or banana split. Like, why? Like, I like both, you know, but both are different. I know in this case they're both IoT, but never mind. Anyway, all right, let's go further down. Looks like Bitmart delisted XSwap Max. Oh, well, that's okay. But I mean, I saw that there was only on two exchange. Let me pull this up for a second, okay? XSwap real quick, because it really did well. I mean, you guys want to see how well it did? Let me show you guys how well it did. Let's share this on the screen. Just real quick. Yeah, look at that. 122% for the 7-day chart. Doge Chain's killing it, right? I know that Elon Muff, aka Mike Hormel, owns a decent amount of that. XDC, 57% up. Something's going on the 1 hour. That's might be good. If you hold StormX, you're from, you know, Pacific Northwest or like a Blazers fan. That used to be one of their official sponsored cryptos. They're moving liquidity. It's going to a V2. Anyway, what's going on with Dogecoin? Yeah, it's still a little bit up. We were in the 8-cent range before, but all right. So here's XSwap real quick. Let's talk about this for just a brief moment. And I believe it's still a natural looking chart. On that 7-day, look at that 7-day chart, up 122%. That's pretty big. How about the 1 month? 153%. Yeah, it's not bad. Yeah. All right. So as far as the markets go, it shows us only on 2 markets, Probit Global and BitTrue. This is where I was trying to ask, you know, like Tim Shea or whoever, did you use one or the other one? But maybe you guys did use Bitmart, and I guess you're just able to hold it there unless you moved it to like a, you know, cold storage. I don't even know if you can move this to a cold storage, but anyway, glad to share that with you guys. Let's go further down. That's the way I feel about it. That's exactly, I feel as though it tastes like sweeter flat Coke. I agree. But there's other ones I like from there. I like, you know, the wild cherry's not bad. I just don't like regular Pepsi. All right, let's also welcome Dave D. Welcome. Glad to have you here, Dave D. Boom. Fluffy Fluff in the banana hammock. Smash that like, CTN family. Thank you so much. Fluffy Fluff. Darren, glad to have you. Because someone send Jasmy LP each time it falls down, I buy more. Well, you're taking advantage of some of the stuff. Dave D says, was just watching Pablo was ishing on people that gave him a super chat. What? Why would he do that? Really? Unless they said some bad stuff and they're just giving him super chats. And they were saying, like, you know, really, I don't know. That's his platform. I don't want to get involved in that right now, to be honest. I don't even hold Volt anymore. I mean, I'm not trying to flood you guys' bags. I know some of you guys are still in the Volt. But I decided not to get into V3. I still have nothing but love and respect for the Volt community. Obviously, you know, have nothing but respect for like people like, you know, obviously like Space Chick and so on. It's just, for me, there's other opportunities. I'd rather just focus my time and energy and my money. I don't know. Maybe that's disappointing to some people, but and maybe it does really, really well, guys, in the height of the bull market. But I didn't want to, you know, go down that whole thing again with the V3 and so on. So teach his own. Blackwood, IOTA sounds like a good project, but not as easy to get as others, like Max just said. Can't own everything. Well, here's the thing. I own IOTA, though. All right. I took advantage of that. In fact, I'm in the profits. All right. So I bought it for like, I think 14.5 cents, maybe close to 15 cents. And it's like, what, 17, 18 cents right now. So I'm not complaining. You know, I mean, you know, I took advantage of that. You know, I'll try to tag it more and find some coverage, but I don't know. Sometimes it's just, you know, think about how many things we tag here, right? So it's like QNT, XRP, XLM. I mean, that right there, those three things would cover a whole show. XDC, Nexera, LCX, that in itself would cover a whole show. So that should be like a different day. HBAR, CS, you know, Casper, Algo, like that's a different day. Jasmy, BSV. In reality, Jasmy and QNT and XLM probably are going to get a little bit more priority here because that's where, let's face it, our biggest following are from those three. Jasmy is like our number one following right now. QNT is our second biggest following. But as of lately, XLM might be our second biggest following right now. You know, once in a while, XRP does really well for us. Once in a while, XDC does really well for us. You know, I do want to recognize, Caspa's got Caspa, the New England clam chowder of crypto, right? You guys might not like me saying that, but you know what I mean. It trends, great communities. I mean, I like stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's like, and knowing that, I mean, I also look at things like, I'm not gonna just cover things because they trend, but I also want to cover something that I think is a good opportunity. And obviously, I think Casp was still very undervalued. You know what I mean? So. All right, GG, if you research Jasmy, you would know why. GG says, I'm not bullish on either one. I just don't hold any coins for IoT projects. Just was curious. I'm looking to get some IoT coins. That's okay, GG. I don't judge you, man. My thing is this, right? At some point, I do get Energy Web Token. I have nothing but respect and admiration for Tokenizer. You guys know that when it comes to him, I mean, Quant Papa too, obviously, but like, I honestly think that when I say like, Tokenizers to go to research, the reason why I state that is he doesn't just cover like maybe like 2 or 3 projects. This guy covers like literally like 20 plus utility cryptos, and like he's got everything just well outlined. I mean, like he's the definition of like a, you know, like being a teacher. He's like the definition of like your dream student. You know what I mean? Like you have like a teacher's pet, if you will, and then you also have like your freaking blatant scholars that you know are just geniuses, are going to go off to do big things. That guy's going to go off to do big things. But what I'm stating is, when he was on the show, he said QNT is number one, right? So we both agree on that. But then he says that his number 2 is Energy Web Token. I don't dismiss that. You know what I mean? That didn't mean I just went out and bought a bunch of Energy Web Token, but I don't dismiss that. And at the same time, like there's not a lot of Energy Web Tokens compared to like some of these other things. And if I'm in the QNT for scarcity, that's one reason of many why I'm into it. I think I should recognize Energy Web Token and so on. But there's a lot of good IoT projects and so on. I would agree. All right, Blackwood says CMC market lists are not updated. Sometimes you have to Google where you can buy. That's true. Robert Brewer, thanks for all the research and work you put in. Thanks, Robert Brewer. Consider changing, getting your avatar. Something speaks more about who you are and what you're about. But we do appreciate you, and thank you so much, man. It means a lot. Craig Berg, why aren't more people talking about Jasmy? I have a little bag, but thinking about more and getting to 500,000 eventually. Before circulating supply is gone. You want to know something? I don't know why more and more people talk about it, other than the fact that maybe they just look at the chart, the all-time chart, and they see that basically it was down, not like 99% from the all-time high. A totally different type of situation. Like, Crypto Mike Corn was talking about, it's just like there was only like a few million that were in circulation. And then, yeah, briefly went to like all-time highs, but like the market cap was like, it was like hardly anything. You know what I mean? So some people did really, really well on that. The majority of people probably didn't take their profits. They should have. I look at it from the opportunity. I think of that a lot of XRP holders do. And you guys have seen it. There's a consistent pattern that a lot of people that own, like for instance, XRP or XLM, they also own a bunch of Jasmy. It's because we realize that it's not just about what it says on an all-time chart. It's the research. It's like, are we going to dismiss what these guys are, trying to accomplish, former Sony executives and so on? Why did Kazumasa Sato go through all the trouble of making, filing for all these patents, these Sony patents and so on? These guys have unfulfilled dreams more than the next guy, their legacy and, there's that stamp of their legacy and what they want to see something blossom out of this whole thing of Web3 and Society 5.0 and all this stuff, which is really cool. But at the same time, it's a great opportunity for us. But there's so many people who claim they understand Jasmy who just simply, I don't know, like they just want to swing trade it for whatever reason. For me, if people are doing that, like if you got two bags, one for swing trading, one for long term, okay, great. But like I've seen so many cases where people are just literally swing trading this, like, quite often, and it's just I kind of shake my head about it and so on. Or that, like right now, what is it? The market? What's going on with the market right now? I think we're down. Let me just pull this up. Where the heck is this thing, real quick? Let me just go back to. I know this is a good chart about XSwap, but 1.18 trillion. Technically from where we're at of 1.124, that's a big drop. BTC market cap dropped down, and people don't understand that still to this day that when BTC drops like that, and also Ethereum, it's going to affect the altcoins and especially Jasmy on the chart. Jasmy runs in correlation with that. But here's what's the good news, right? Like we reported on Monday, it is altcoin season, and you are starting to see reports, and there's other news outlets. Maybe I'll share it tomorrow, not tonight, because I got to end this here pretty soon. There's outlets that show numerous reports that support, and it's not just a thesis at this point, okay? The whole notion about a true altcoin, what they call altcoin season and so on, which basically means that you're going to need to see certain crypto assets, hence altcoins, something other than, BTC, do some significant things. Now, do we see that with the likes of like Jasmy and so on? I don't think we're at that point yet, right? But if anything, if you aren't able to acquire some of these assets at discounted prices, I don't want necessarily people to like FOMO into some of this stuff right now. Because right as we speak, let's pull up Jasmy before we enter the show. On the watch list real quick. Let me pull it up. Jasmy ranked 144th overall. We're down to 0.00375. In first week, the second week of August, we could see a dramatic pullback, which would be like even better prices for Jasmy. But if you're the type of person you're not sweating it, and you feel as though that, like some of the examples that some of you guys made, where does it really matter, if I buy this for 0.00375 0.375 or 0.0031. May not seem like it, but that does make a difference if you're buying at $100,000 or $100,000, 100,000 token like chunks, right? Like chunks of 100,000 or chunks of even 50,000, right? I mean, the reason why I use 100,000 is because currently speaking, minus the fees, you could buy 100,000 Jasmy for $375. Okay. I mean, that's just an easy way to do it, right? If you're going to buy 50,000 at a time, you just divide that in half. Well, is a person really sweating $375 compared to if that crashed down to, I don't know, let's just say 0.003? All right. So $75. I mean, I guess some people could. I mean, if you did 2 bags, that's $150. If you're on like a fixed income and you're eating ramen every night because you're buying all this crypto, yeah, that's going to make a big deal, right? On the short term, you better believe that's going to make a big deal. And I have seen reports for some of you guys saying that's exactly what you're doing. And I'm not judging, right? For some of us, that's the harsh reality for some of us. But you got to do whatever you got to do. You recognize what's on sale. All I'm saying is, like it's just there's not. You're right. Not enough people are talking about Jasmy. You say you have a little bag, thinking about more, getting to 500K. That's a great goal, man. Eventually, before circulating supply is gone. Right. So you already have goals. You understand that we're getting that much closer to 100% circulating supply. And then the other key thing, I think, after we get to 100% circulating supply is obviously the Q4 lockup. And I don't want people to be disappointed. We talk about supply shock and stuff like that. And some people say, that's Jasmy all the way. Okay, I'm with you, but I think that they do have a plan. Some people feel as though, no, they don't have a plan. They have a plan. You better believe they have a plan. I honestly think one of the biggest parts of their plan is they are not dismissing what's going on with the Bitcoin halving. They're not dismissing what's going on with how Jasmy runs in correlation with BTC. They understand there is a concept of supply and demand, and that demand means how much do you lock up based off of bullish the weather of what's bullish, if you will. I mean, we talk about storms and crypto winter, right? So if we have a bullish outlook, think about is it really going to make sense for them? Let's say that we get a taste of things to come by the end of 2023. But in reality, in my opinion, it's after the Bitcoin halving, and it's definitely late 2025 is probably the utility run. If I had to predict something, I'm not a genius. I'm not a fortune teller. So if it was me and I'm part of the management team of Jasmy, I'm saying to myself, look, we got to do what's best for us as not only a business, but this would also make sense to not maybe lock this all up at once. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, this is a weird analogy, but you watch fireworks on the 4th of July. Is it going to make sense for New York Harbor or the Louisville Bridge? That's even a bigger display, right? Whatever the case be, is it going to make sense for them to shoot off the whole grand finale, right, at the beginning? No. That's why it's the grand finale. You got to wait. So if anything, it's kind of like that build up towards the grand finale. I kind of look at at the height of this 4th boom cycle, or we're going into the utility run. Smarter people will, or cooler heads, if you will, or a combination of both, will get together and say to themselves, look, this would make more sense compared to just, and I hate to use this term, shooting my wallet all at once. Okay. That's just my own take. Maybe people agree with it. Maybe they don't. I think there's going to be a lot of disappointed people who are all got their hopes up that, Q4 2023, it's 100% lock. I'm telling you flat out, I can almost guarantee it's not going to be a complete 100% lockup. To me, that just doesn't make sense. It would be, if anything, I don't know, 50% you would want to keep on reserve for after the Bitcoin halving. That in itself, So yes, in my opinion, I think it's in chunks, and especially with everything that was talked about with their KPI targets for $17 a Jasmy by 2026. Do you know of any other projects? Come on, guys, let's be honest here. This is where Jasmy gets a lot of criticism. All right, let's just be real. Do you know of any other projects out there? Maybe other than maybe like XRP or something like that. I mean, David Schwartz kind of hints at 589 all the time, obviously, but there's no year that's like, hey, man, it's going to happen in 2026, 589 in XRP, right? You never see that. If that does exist, then let me know. I'm not aware of it. But with Jasmy, it's pretty consistent. Their KPI target is literally $17 a Jasmy, right? So some people say, well, if it was half that, $7.50 is great. We also got to be real, right? I'm not saying for some of the stuff sounds like we're dreaming. I get that. And this is not me fudding it, but this is where I think everybody is consistent about this for the most part. $1 a Jasmy should be more than feasible. And this is why when I see these great big pullbacks, like, Mike Cornwell calling me up in the middle of the night, or Max, oh my God, this is the bottom, man, like load up your Jasmy. And I was like, you know what? He's right. And I did. And I hit my goals, that's just where it's at for me. It's just like, and then now my next goal is to own a second bag for some of these crazy KPI targets and so on. Know what your goals are for not just Jasmy, but all of this stuff. Write it down in a spreadsheet. If you don't like spreadsheets, whatever your case be, but be organized about it. That way you see that reminder and you say to yourself, look, man, I think I can accomplish this. And do that, because if you have a diversified portfolio, then you don't have to be, like the saying is, your cryptos are not your one project isn't your one trick pony. You don't want a one trick pony in any of this stuff. There are going to be dramatic parabolic pumps for certain projects at different times. There's supply and demand for certain projects at different times based off of what's been reported or what utility has been used. It's not so much of the case of buy the rumor, sell the news, but people do need to understand, utility being used. If we get a perfect example of 200,000, or hundreds of thousands, or maybe even 1 million blockchain PCs get sold, internationally by, who knows, maybe it is 2026. And then I'm just going to use this as an example, right? Please don't take this to heart like this is going to happen. So let's say 100,000 of those, whether it's Vita blockchain PCs or whatever other one it could be in the future, they're sold, they're used, they're plugged into the internet, and people around the world are using that. That's utility in motion. 20,000 blockchain PCs that have been ordered, and just that, ordered but not actually plugged in. That's not utility in motion, for the same reason why ISO 222 is just a messaging system, and that's not utility in motion until we get, like, for instance, the banks using Ripple's on-demand liquidity with XRP. You get what I'm saying? Utility in motion is a lot different from implementation. We need to go from implementation and have it fully used at full-scale implementation, but also have full-scale utility being used. All right, I went on a tangent right there. I know. All right, let me come back into the frame for a brief bit. I'll read the last bit of comments, and we're going to wrap things up. The XSwap is looking great in your decent wallet. Okay. You look down Bitmart, haven't used Probit or BitShrew. That's my thing. I wanted to hear somebody like you or somebody else saying, hey, I could vouch for Probit, or I'm aware of them, but it's that kind of that scary thing of, I don't know if I trust those exchanges. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know about them. I don't, like, am I going to have to use a VPN to purchase that? I mean, I just don't know. All right, let's see here. IoT and tokenization is the future. I agree with you on that. Is there any interaction with Jasmy and X coins? I saw where you're going with that. I think it was 279 or level 8 posted about that. I saw it before the show. I didn't want to share that with you guys yet until I take more of my deeper look into it and so on. But I know fully what you're talking about. I don't have an answer on that yet, but it is something I'm very aware of. All right. One day everything will be tokenized. That's a great way of looking at it because it's true. Magic power. The point where everything changes for Jasmy is the point where Jasmy steps out of the shadows. Who knows? The shadow knows. Everybody watched the shadow back in the day. And the world perceives Jasmy as a powerful, glowing crypto with extreme potential. Yep. Yeah. Like the saying goes, know what you hold, know why you hold it. The research trumps FUD 110% because it does. But there will be people that will simply quit, sell their Jasmy out of fear or doubt or whatever you want to call it. And as a result, we end up buying these people's Jasmy for, I guess you could say, distressed prices. People do it all day long. It's not just Jasmy, it's other cryptos. Crypto John even mentioned some of that. I remember him mentioning that on one of his recorded videos, or it was a live, I can't remember. Dave D, 100% circulating supply is a good thing. I think so, but combine that with the lockup. That's the key thing, guys, is the lockup. As you guys know, we don't have burns when it comes to Jasmy. They have a burn mechanism, but they never used it. And, shout out to the Jasmy team. I mean, they could have took advantage of that numerous times. That's one thing the FUDders don't really want to talk about too much. Again, they base everything off of one chart, and it's the all-time chart. Hell, man, we can apply that to anything. We can apply that to BTC. We can apply it to Ripple's XRP. Numerous solid, good projects, right? It's called recognize what's going on with these cycles, right? A bear market, crypto winter, whatever you want to call it. Oh, this one guy accused me. You bought the all-time high. The hell I did. I did not buy the all-time high. I used to be in profits. Now I'm not in the profits. I'm down a little bit, but nothing like what they're saying, KK, Jasmy building a foundation. That's how a solid project works. Yeah, very true. Back to like what Steve Jobs was talking about. The Japanese simply do not do well with the marketing. It's their products that speak for themselves. We share that video. Maybe we'll share it again at some point. I'm not going to do it tonight. I got to end this here soon, real soon. Let's see what we're doing on time. 8:18 my time. Magic Power says, then the masses will come and the price will become unsustainable, and increase sharply from bull run to bull run. Red Monster, welcome. Jasmy is trending #1 on Twitter right now. I saw that earlier. Yes, that's good stuff. I believe close to 3,000 tweets or something like that. Boomer Raffet sooner! Can you imagine where Jasmy will go when CZ removes it from the innovate? That's a great point. Great point. You know what? Can we just talk about that for a second before we wrap up the show? Then the lockup, then the Bitcoin halving. Yeah. It's like literally a reverse domino effect. So the other domino effect is we are at 0.008. A lot of people feel it's like, oh my God, we're going to hit a penny Jasmy. You know how it was like crickets for the FUDders. Remember that? Like, oh yeah, this guy, with the little puppy dog face and so on for an avatar, he ain't saying nothing anymore. And then, then of course when that happened, they just come out of the woodwork like roaches, right? So yeah, I think it's a reverse domino effect. And Boomer, I think you're right, man. I think you're spot on. I think that's exactly what is going to happen. I think we get more of that momentum going back. And then if anything, guys, something that we need to also pay attention to, if we're at rank at 144 for the ranking on CMC for Jasmy, I think that easily will put us back up into the top 100, maybe in the 90s. And as you guys know, some investors only invest in the top 100. So that in itself is FOMO money coming in, or, the apes. I hate to say that, but that's FOMOing and aping into the, projects, basically the same thing. And that will happen. People will ape into it. Oh, this is called Bitcoin in Japan. Oh, I'm into this. You didn't research anything. Oh, I don't care. It's Bitcoin in Japan. All right. Well, welcome aboard. I mean, that's just honestly, guys, let's face it. That's the way it goes. I mean, I own a bunch of SHIB, but, even with Shiba Inu, I mean, come on, let's face it. Do you honestly think something like, I know this sounds exaggerated, but what percentage you feel as though of people that came into SHIB really knew about the future of like Shibarium or Bone or Leash? Or no, I see this on my crypto.com app. It's available. It's dirt cheap. oh, this sounds like Dogecoin, but maybe a little bit better and for less, a lot cheaper. I'm gonna buy that. I'm kidding, not kidding you. How do I know this? I have friends that have done this. All right, like nothing against my friend Jerry. He's a good guy. He bought a whole bunch of Polkadot, a bunch of it, because it sounded cool. He doesn't know it's a layer 0 and the utility. Nothing against them, but there's people like that who do that. Let them do it. You know what I mean? It's just for the same reason. Let people who have doubts about Jasmy or any of this stuff sell the Jasmy. We will buy it at the distressed price, cheaper than what they exited at. As Crypto John and other people have mentioned. All right, there's just only a few more comments. I'm going to read the last bit. Fluffy Fluff in the banana hammocks. I just want to state this one last time. Can you imagine playing like Call of Duty or Battlefield or something, and a guy does a 360 no-scope headshot from across the map, and it says you were headshotted or you were killed by Fluffy Fluff in the banana hammocks. Like, if that happens to me, I am uninstalling my game, and I'm never playing another first-person shooter for as long as I'm kidding, but I'm just saying. I mean, I don't even know if that whole name would fit across the screen, but anyway. Boomer, I love what you're laying down. Same thought. Yeah, that's a great way of looking at it. It's like Wiles mentioned also to add on to that. It's a reverse domino effect. Shout out to Boomer F and Sooner. Everybody that fell asleep on the show, I've been reported or told this from Mike Cornwell. Boomer, listen to this. He told me that like on the weekends he'll be like dozing off because he has his YouTube set to autoplay. I don't have mine set to autoplay. He has set his set to autoplay from the living room TV or whatever. He'll be dozed off, asleep. It's like 4:00 in the morning, and he'll go out of nowhere, and then oh my god, that makes it all worthwhile right there, Boomer. Boom. All right. And to shout out to anybody who just woke up from the Boomer effing sooner at literally what time is it in the East Coast right now? 11:23 p.m. So I'm sure there's a few guys that might have been asleep. I heard a Boomer effing sooner. Okay, Boomer sooner. $10 Jasmy is only a 487 billion market cap after lockup. 146 billion market cap. Just be glad that you're part of this. Some people think we're nuts, but you know what? People thought people were insane for getting into BTC many years ago too. Look how that turned out. Or people that invested into Ethereum many years ago, or even Litecoin many years ago, or heck, any of this stuff, right? I mean, we saw some big things happen even in the last bull market and so on. I wish I would have bought more Crow back in 2021. I bought 10,000 Crow, but was I complaining about that? My $1,700 investment, that was my third top performer, and you better believe I did cash out on that sucker, man. I didn't quite get all the way up to all-time highs, but I was near it. But my $1,700 investment was $10K, and that was my third top performer. And you know what? No one's complaining about, turning, we always talk about 100Xs and 1000Xs, but in reality, are you really going to complain about a 10X? I don't think so. So there's always going to be examples like that. You're very welcome, Craig Berg. Have a great night. Brittany, Boomer F and Sooner says, adios. Take care later. Greg Berg, I've been on BitTrue for a while. Good exchange in his opinion. All right. I did buy 500K of XSP thanks to you guys talking about it and put me on it with the XTC connection. Well, that must have been recent. All right, fair enough. It's one that I'm looking to get. It's more than proved itself. I also think that I might finally get into Uniswap because of the V4. I'll do something. I'm going to report on one last thing before we close out the show. Great show. Thank you so much. Robert Brewer, that was my son. Hot Shot goes. He would do a 360 and headshot people. Crazy skills go. Oh, that's very cool. All right, so I'm going to show you guys something real quick about Uniswap that I think is worth noting. Let me just shrink this down. I should have bought some Uniswap when I originally reported back, like, I don't know, it was like $1 or something. Tim Shea, remember that a while back? We were talking about it, and it's literally like, I don't know, man. It's probably been like at least a 10x since then. But hold on a second, let me pull up my count. I might not be able to pull up the exact tweet, but it was like, wow, man, look at this. This is really something else about Uniswap. I think, certain swaps obviously will stand out in with the electronic trade documents bill passing. And then you see that, X swap is, it's kind of like if we're looking at Pancake swap for Binance, why aren't we looking at XDC's X swap for XDC, right? I mean, that's just on the surface. I mean, why not? So let me see if I can pull this up. And if I can't find it here soon, then I'll just share it tomorrow. But let me see here. Let me see. Uniswap launches on Avalanche. Uniswap now supports 7 networks in total. That's not the one, but I mean, that's a good update. I'm gonna find it. It was some juicy news in regards to Uniswap. I don't know why I didn't share it before. Okay, that's not it either. Hold on a second. I'm gonna find it. I swear I'm gonna find this thing. There was this news about Uniswap. It's kind of like somewhat old news, not really old, but I don't know. I thought it was pretty good. All right, let me see what we got. Shoot. On the updates. Hold on a second. Let me go to the updates section. Hold on. I will have it here in a second. I'm real close to pulling this up. I know I am. Where the heck is this? No, that's not it either. Give me a second, guys. This is good stuff. I want to just pull this up for a second. It just, I don't know, man. It's good news in regards to Uniswap. All right, just a second. Might be from June 18th. I know it sounds like a while ago, but maybe I shared this on the live, but I don't think I did. I found it. I found it right here. I'm going to blow this up, share my screen. What date is this? Hold on a second. This is from June 18th. Here's something that kind of maybe flew under the radar because, let's face it, not a lot of people are going to report on Uniswap, right? This it literally makes me want, what the heck? Like a freaking moth or something. This makes me want to load up on some Uniswap. And if anything, I'm going to pull up Uniswap on CMC for a second. Shoot. Second. I thought I had that saved on my watch list. Uniswap. Uniswap is $5.85. I remember, oh my God, Tim Shea. I remember when we were talking about it was like $1 something, like this time last year. Man, I'm talking about missing out then. All right. Yeah, let's show you guys this real quick. I think you see it. All right, here it is. Just briefly. So it says Uniswap shares its plans for Uniswap V4. Okay. So a lot of times, like when you guys go to, I don't know, like some of these pairings for new projects and so on, you'll see the option for V2 and then there's V3. So anyway, V4. What's V4 all about? So it says the new version will feature a simplified contract that lowers pool deployment costs and hooks that will greatly expand the customizability of liquidity pools. That's not the one. There's this other one that talks about it. Man. Shoot. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can pull up on mainstream news. But basically, let me just tell you this real quick. It mentions specifically about how there won't be any gas fees with Uniswap V4. Let me see if I can pull it up on a different source. I want to stop in gas. Let's see. Yeah, this is good stuff. Here it is. It comes actually straight from the Uniswap protocol because I could have just went right there. All right, this comes from Uniswap Labs. Let me see what this is like real quick. So sorry about this, guys. This wasn't planned. All right, here we go. Let's leave this right here. Let's share this tab instead. This is bonus content, I guess you could say. All right, so look at here with V4. Okay, so it says improve architecture and gas savings. All right, we all hate Ethereum gas fees, right? So it says in Uniswap V3, we deploy a new contract for every pool, making creating pools and performing multi-pool swaps more expensive. Now we're talking about version 4, obviously. In version 4, and if anything, let me just blow this up just a tad bit more. All right, here we go. In version 4, we hold all the pools in one singleton contract. Kind of weird how that's mentioned singleton, John Singleton. Anyway, which will provide important gas savings because swaps will no longer need to transfer tokens between pools held in different contracts. Think about that for a second. You don't think that makes a tremendous amount of supply and demand for people to go back to Uniswap? People are going to do that. People still have Coinbase wallet. People still have MetaMask. People still have, other wallets, right? My point is this. Well, if we're talking about the supply and demand of particular cryptocurrency projects, I think this puts more supply and demand for the likes of Uniswap. So, early estimates show that version 4 reduces pool creation gas costs by 99%. Hooks introduce a world with endless options, and Singleton allows you to efficiently route across all of them. Not just some of them, all of them. This Singleton architecture is complemented by a new flash accounting system. Instead of transferring assets in and out of pools at the end of every swap, and who hasn't swapped, something by now, right? Unless you're completely brand into this, and that's okay. We're all new at some point. This system transfers only on net balances, meaning a far more efficient system that provides additional gas savings in Uniswap V4. This last part. We believe the best design for flash accounting uses, transient storage, which would be enabled by this technology. This EIP is being considered as part of the Ethereum Cancun hard fork. Listen to this, guys. And will bring even bigger gas improvements and cleaner contract designs across a wide variety of applications. It gives you like a little bit of this example. V4 also brings back support for native ETH, which offers additional gas save. I mean, does this not sound great? So, where am I going with this? Well, for one, I'm going to show you this little diagram, right? Version 3 ETH, for instance, with DAI. Here's what it looks like with version 4. Can we just push, highlight this for a second? It says V4 singleton and flash account equal efficient routing across more pools and reduce pool deployment costs by 99%. So to me, this creates that supply. This creates this demand. And in my opinion, all right, again, this is just my opinion, at the height of the next bull market, this will stand out as being one that, like, wow, man, look what people did with buying this on the cheap, if you will. I mean, yeah, I had the opportunity to buy it in the dollar range, but maybe even though I'm going to be paying 5 times more than I originally could, I just pick up, I don't know, maybe a couple handfuls of these. I don't know. We'll see. But I don't think I'm going to be disappointed on this particular one. And, back to the subject about XDC. So with XDC, you already have significantly cheap fees, right? I mean, transaction fees on XDC is literally like the price of a Luna Classic token. I've used this example numerous times. So for one, with XSwap, they've had, last 2 or 3 months, like tremendous amounts of burns, like a ton of burns, right? That obviously helps. But again, guys, the electronic trade documents bill being literally signed by, I guess, King Charles, that's huge in itself. And then that swap that they have, right? XSP's swap, and they're on XDC's blockchain. You better believe in the future that could be really, really big. I mean, is that at least a 10x? Is that a 100x? I don't know. But if XDC is going to do well, I think it's a given that XSP will do well too. And that's why I'm convinced 100% that XSP is definitely one I want to own, because it's more than improving itself. I mean, It actually outperformed XDC. You know, I mean, last we checked, when it comes to these swaps, it's for you can, you know, buy and trade and so on. There you go. But anyway, I do think Uniswap is a good, has a good use case, especially going to this V4. I mean, come on, man. It's not mentioning, you know, oh, this is a savings of 25%, 99%. That is big. All right. Glad to share it with you guys. That was just some bonus. All right, that's it. You guys have a great night. Thank you, Magic Power. Thank you, everybody. Tune in tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific for more Crypto Talk Now. And you guys have a great night. Sayonara from the Race Club Consortium. Wait. All right. Bye-bye. Oh, wait. What happened here? Big deal tag, gold equals XRP. You know what, Mike Cornwell? Ski guys, I'm going ham. I'm just kidding. Of course, I'm going to recognize the super chat. That'd be pretty messed up if I did that, huh? I was just like, ski guys, I'm going ham. I'm going to go over to the sea bank and some sea beef and some sea pack and be like, Dogecoin to the man. I'm going to be rich. No, I'm kidding. All right, let me share this with you guys. Let's see what Mr. Elon Muff has in store. Better not be a Coney Island. That's all I got to say. This better not be a trick. Because if it's a trick, I don't know what I'm going to do. It'll be like Papa Doc. All right. Twitter. All right. Let's pull this up. Wow, that's a nice looking steak. He says he fasted today. Hit leg hard, day hard. Steak sounds kind of good right now, to be honest. But all right. Let's see what Elon Musk wants. Ripple Singapore. All right. Bonus coverage from the one, the only Elon Musk. Let's see if it shows up on the screen. It does. All right. Breaking. Oh, let me at least like it, retweet it, boil it, mash it, stick it in a stew. Breaking. Ripple Singapore allows customers. Let me see how I'm doing my time. Okay, I'm good. Allows customers to deposit and withdraw gold, silver, and currencies into and out of Ripple payment network. XRP to actually be backed by gold. We've been talking about this for a while. Let's see what's up with that. Let me make this bigger. For the one, the only Elon Musk. Max, I don't like how there's a guy on your show named Elon Musk. It's a little bit vulgar. All right, Ripple Singapore, gold and silver in your wallet. Ripple Singapore launched in January 2014. The service is Singapore's first major Ripple gateway and the first in the world that allows customers to deposit and withdraw gold, silver, and currencies into and out of the Ripple payment network. Oh, man, that is bullish. I did see the report from Crypto Hulk that he did yesterday night, and there was supposed to be a show that was this morning about Russia using the like a digital ruble, with Ripple. It says ripple.ru, and it was all the way back in 2014. So there's a lot of things obviously that happened in 2014 for Ripple. But yeah, thanks, Mike, for sharing. That's huge, right? Because this whole topic about like XRP gold, XLM silver. What was the other one that palladium or something like that? But those are great examples. But here's actual no, this is a real thing, right? That is big news. That's huge. Glad to share it with you guys. Thank you to Mike Cornwell. All right. Let me get back into the comments and then we'll wrap it up for sure this time. Unless I get tagged more. Robert Brewer says, thank you, Max. Hey, thank you, man. You got a custom avatar. Let's check that out real quick. All right. You got a lion. I think that's a lion. He's got a cowboy hat and American flag and stuff. Cool. Right on. Yeah, that is very, very cool. Very cool. Edward Vincent, aka Squidward, cheers. Thank you, Max. Thank you. Elon Musk, hello. You know who didn't show up tonight? Was Menelite. Hello, was it Mentalect that we were looking for? Lionel Richie. Yes, he wasn't here. That's okay. April Cornwall's got the Coney Island. I saw that picture, April. I saw that picture of the desk. I did see that. That was very, very interesting. But it's to be expected. I mean, you're a married couple. There's nothing wrong with that. All right. My son calls hot dogs glizzies. No clue what. Oh no. Elon Musk says, "Yo." All right. Unless there's another tag, I think this is it, guys. So, I think this is it. All right. Let me just turn some things off. And what else we got here? Oh my God, the desk. Yeah. It's all right. April, there's nothing wrong. You guys are a married couple. It's to be expected. It's to be expected. That's a good, healthy marriage. All right. Back to the reality, right? Snap back to reality. Let's end the show. Yes, we're going to end the show. Have a great night, everybody. The dudes in Musk tweet calls them. Oh, God. Well, with that said, Boomer, that calls for a Boomer episode. All right. Good night. Goat equals Max. Well, thanks. I think the Goat research is tokenizer, but thank you very much. 90 Cray. Yeah. All right. You guys have a good one. See you tomorrow. For real this time. 90 night. Please smash that like on your way out. All right. Thank you.